Alright guys, welcome back. Today we're doing something a little different. Carp season finally starting to take off. They're slowing down with the spawning, so they're gonna start being hungry now, so so why not start switching up and getting some different baits in the water. So usually I'm tried and true with corn. I mean, where I go I usually never have an issue, but last week I ran into a little bit of a tricky situation where they just weren't touching it. I had one hit and I sat there for... Alright, let's get into it. So first, get a nice mixing bowl. Second, for the base, I like to use breadcrumbs. Keep this stuff real cheap. This is the Walmart version, nothing crazy. I think this was like $1. So really all the ingredients to make like a good batch is probably going to be like $5-6. I mean, you can't really beat it when you buy the Boilie packs online. For some reason you can't really get them by me. You got to pay for shipping, you got to pay for this, you got to pay for that. So the Boilie package, they come in something like literally this size, just like a little, yeah, that'll last you a little bit, but why spend, you know, $10 on that when you could just spend $5 and make 3 times the amount, and you can make it whatever flavor you want. So all right, so about half of this container, this is a 15 ounce. Get the plain, don't get with all the seasonings and stuff. That's kind of overkill with all different stuff that they don't even want. So about half of this. Yeah, that's about enough. All right. One down. Next, I'm going to be doing the corn starch. About a half cup. Kind of binds everything together. This isn't rocket science, you know. If you're close, you're good. And in the end, you're gonna see how the texture feels, and you want it to almost be like that dough consistency. Not too wet, not too dry where it crumbles apart, but enough to where it stays, it's pliable, and it kind of, you know, kind of breaks after you give it a little bit of a, you know, a little bit of a tug. So that's breadcrumbs, cornstarch. Next, we're gonna do a little bit of sugar, get a little sweetness to it. Regular granulated sugar works, you know, table sugar, whatever you want to call it. Break it up, get about, we'll say 2. Now, you know, if it's in the winter or something like that and you want a little more sweetness to it, you can add, you know, as much as you want, really. Don't go too crazy though. Sometimes it's too sweet and it's not natural anymore, you know. Granted, this stuff isn't natural to begin with, but you get the idea. All right, so about 2 in there. Now, what I like to do, because these carp here hit very well on corn, and I'm just using regular sweet corn, whole kernel. Walmart, picked them up, 54 cents a can. Can't go wrong with that. Yeah, so what I like to do is I like to put a little bit more in the mixture, you know, when you're doing that, when you're doing the you know, half a container, I put a little bit more, just because what I like to do is I like to drain the corn can into a glass, and then, so that's all the corn juices, that's the sweetness, that's the smell, everything, preservatives, the whole 9. Then I take the whole can of corn, which they are 15 ounce cans, and I put it into a food processor blender and just let it emulsify for like straight 2 minutes, and it comes out to like a paste. So this is what's going to be on top of our mixture here. So I put this off to the side, so you add a little bit more to give it that that texture, but I keep this and I kind of add it, and gives a little extra sweetness, and it really brings out that corn flavoring. Now, to be on the safe side, that I have enough, because I'm adding all this corn, and I'm going to be adding a little bit more of the corn juice than I wanted. I'm going to add about 3/4 of this container. That should be good. 3/4 of that, and I'm going to add quarter cup cornstarch. I forgot that I was gonna add this extra corn juice. You know, that is my extra scent. So there you go. So you got about 3/4 cup, 3/4 of this container breadcrumbs, and then you've got about 3/4 cup, 3/4 of a cup of cornstarch. Yeah. So if you're going to be adding the corn juice and everything like that, you want to bump it up to about 3/4 of a cup of this, the breadcrumbs, 3/4 container of the breadcrumbs, and you want to do 3/4 cup of cornstarch. Like I said, none of this stuff is exact science. Once it starts, if it's a little too liquidy, you just add more breadcrumbs, a little bit more cornstarch, and then if it's a little too dry, you just add an egg, maybe a little more of the corn juice, and that'll help you out. All right, so we got all that in there. So we got the cornstarch, breadcrumbs, sugar. Now we are going to add actually the eggs. So I do about 2 eggs. 2 eggs if I'm going to do all that corn added in there. So throw that in there. And you want to actually mix this up. Don't just drop the eggs in there, because it's actually gonna give you issues when you're mixing. All right. You want that yolk and the whites to really mix and blend. I think I'm a professional chef doing this. All right, we're good. So corn. Now you also want to do dry ingredients with dry ingredients, wet with wet. So you could mix it all together, but it's already all mixed up. And then just mix this all up. Like I said, you don't need to make, this was $5. I didn't even use all the ingredients. I could probably make another small batch of what's left in here. And I'm telling you, this is gonna last me probably the whole summer. Just this one batch. Now this is starting to thicken up a little bit, but I also didn't add the corn oil yet. So all right, wash my hands off real quick. Now we're gonna do about 2 tablespoons of corn oil. All right, that's that. All right, so this is starting to look a little dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of that corn juice that I was talking about. Get that moisture in there, and that's all scent. It's sugar, it's scent, it's everything. So a little bit more. Alright guys, looks like this is about done. Just making sure I got everything through. Alright. So you want the consistency to be pretty tough. Not you know, not too watery to where it's like, you know, you just let it sit there, it's, you know, hanging out. You don't want that, but you also don't want it to where you can't, when you rip it, it crumbles. Like, see how you rip this and it stays nice? And you just, real quick, and boom, you got yourself a boilie ready. So, that looks like that's going to be perfect consistency. Alright, let's get these things rolled up. Alright guys, just for the sake of the video, I plan on actually going fishing later on tonight, so this will be enough, way more than enough. But I figured, just to give you an idea of how many. So we got what, 4, 8, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 40. We got about 48 boilies right here, anywhere from big, small. These are probably around like 10 mil, maybe even a little smaller, and these are probably up to about 20, maybe even bigger. I just threw a couple of these jumbo ones out there just to see if I can get any of the big girls. But it gives you an idea. So there's 48 here, and look how much I still have left. At least I can make probably over 100 just out of this here alone. So you're making 150 boilies. Like, how often are you going to go through that many? To where you put an hour aside, make it real quick, and you're done. So just for the sake of the video, get these boiled up and ready to go. I'm just going to throw the rest into a Ziploc, and I will get back to these later tonight. Alright, let's get to boiling them. Alright guys, water's finally boiling. This is pretty much the whole batch I made. Like I said, it's about 50 of them. And what you're going to do is just drop them in once the water's at a full boil. Don't put them in when it's not. I like to stir them around a little bit just in case, just so they don't stick. Keep them moving a little bit. Once they're done, they're going to start floating. And then and guys, if you do this right and you leave all your stuff out, your wife will come home and kill you. That's when you know you did a good job. Alright guys, as you can see, they're starting to float. I just shut the heat off so they start to sink back down again, but they, yeah, it looks like they're done. Alright guys, just scooped out the rest of them, put them out here on the paper towels, spread them out a little bit, start to let them dry. I like to put them out when it's a hot day out. I put them out in the sun, and you can get these things done and dry in an hour, 2 hours, done. Most of the time, if you leave it inside, you can let them dry for 4 hours or so. I know a lot of people, they do it, you know, to each his own, but a lot of guys do it for like 24 hours, whatever. But personal preference, but I would at least do it for like 4 to 6 if you can. If it's a really sunny day out, you could probably get away with an hour, 2 hours. That's kind of what I plan on doing today. But yeah, if you got the time, don't rush it. Just let them dry out, let them cure the right way, and then there you go. I'm gonna try to test these guys out later on today, and maybe I'll make another video. We'll do a comparison between, you know, a few of the baits out there. homemade corn and maybe some store-bought stuff. Alright guys, if you liked the video, give it a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I got a lot more videos coming out. Trying to get this channel to grow. It's relatively new, so I appreciate all the support. Alright guys, tight lines.